LPT turns out gangbang means something completely different. This is quite a short and embarrassing one. I'm Scottish. A gangbang here means an orgy, sex party, bumping with a lot of nasties etc. I like watching Steve Wilkos or Dr. Phil when I'm doing chores because I do not have to focus too hard on it. For months I was shocked at all these kids gangbanging and being proud of it. Some even died doing it. I did not know what kind of gangbangs you Americans do, but from what I have heard people certainly do not die during them in the UK. Anyway, today whilst doing the dishes I was watching some kid on Dr. Phil explain why he enjoys gangbanging, and he went into details. Well, duck me sideways and call me Shirley. It means being a gang member. No. Bloody wonder all these kids are dying. They are not shagging folk, they are fighting them. So whilst it was not a today only duck up, I'm gonna have to apologize to some people for mentioning sex when they were discussing an American gangbang. Duck's sake. TLDR thought American kids were dying during orgies. Turns out it is a gun thing. My bad. Same thing happened to me with dabbing. I know it is smoking marijuana resin. That may be incorrect, but I don't really smoke. But several years ago it became a dance move. Imagine my fear when I'm at an Easter party and a 10-year-old kid is telling how much he loves dabbing. I try to talk him out of it and I say, if you keep dabbing I'm gonna have to tell your mom. He replies, she knows I dab all the time. I want her to do it with me, but she doesn't like it. I have never been so relieved to see a fad internet dance before or since. A gangbang is an orgy here in the US as well. A gangbanger however is not someone who participates in gangbangs, but rather a gang member. Often gang members will refer to their activities as banging, but not gangbanging. Source: I live in California. Edit: yes. A gangbang is understood to be multiple males engaging one female, with multiple males participating at the same time. A reverse gangbang would be one male and multiple females. A double gangbang would be two females and multiple males. A double reverse. Well, you get the idea. Because the term has two meanings in America, it's extra confusing when a gang member says he's gonna be gangbanging after he's gangbanging. Which does he do first? This is a major problem. To be fair, most gangbangers call it running a train instead of a gangbang to avoid these linguistic conundrums. In Kentucky some of the old guys would say something along the lines of we will just gangbang it when referring to something that can be done quickly if everyone works on it together. Much confusion to the younger folk who didn't want to gangbang anything with these crusty old ducks. I love this FK up. Never thought of it before. I know both contexts of the term, but have always been able to differentiate. Has not been an issue until you brought it up. Maybe stop watching Dr. Phil. I love my trash TV, but I'm judging you on that one. I live in America and I always thought that was referring to sex. I have not once ever heard that term used for anything other sex, and that is even from living around gang activity all the way up into adulthood. I have heard gangster, ganger, sagger sagging pants gangster, hood rat, hoodie straight from da streets, street raised, etc. But not once have I ever heard a gang member sat gangbang, unless it was sex related. When in college I made a similar mistake, but in reverse. We had an American come to our school and talk about gang problems in the US. The entire school was present, meaning several hundred students. When the guy was done, you could ask questions, and I do not remember the question I asked, but I referred to gang members as gangbangers. The whole auditorium pissed themselves laughing and some of the nearest took to educating me as to the term. I knew both meanings, apparently the rest of my school did not. I could have buried myself on the spot with my bare hands. I can safely say that I have never heard gangbang said in the context of criminal acts, because everyone knows it is a sex act and the news would not go that way unless it is a slow day and the anchor feels like making a joke that he cannot comment on. Mind you, I live near a relatively high crime city. You are not stupid. You have to remember that a citizen of the USA is more likely to be narrow-minded when it comes to other languages or cultures. Blame it partially on geography, as most of us, perhaps 99%, are unable to find another country where American English is not spoken. Hence the ugly American trope when tourism was allowed. Within my family, I vacationed with a family member in Mexico who berated people in the coastal city we were in for not speaking English because she was informed that everybody spoke English, and if they did not, they were attempting to steal from you. Fortunately, by day 3 she learned her lesson. By the way, after the trip, a neighbor showed her a globe and pointed out that New Mexico is part of the USA, where Mexico is a completely different country. I did not know about this lapse in geography before the trip, but it is not uncommon. On the other hand, I was introduced to a set of very attractive British women visiting our university department. I figured out that one way I had to ingratiate myself was to make myself valuable. So I offered to help the lone vegetarian with shopping, as none of the young ladies had transportation in a town with no public transit. Her response was an enthusiastic "When do you want to knock me up?" For those of you who are not familiar with American slang, to knock up is synonymous with impregnate. I took a pause, and thanks to some familiarity with BBC Productions' independent film, I recognized that she was asking what time I intended to knock on her door. Although my male colleagues did eventually learn what actually transpired, for a short period of time I did bask in the glory of undeserved male respect. However, even though I knew the facts almost immediately, I did not update my friends for as long as possible. Admittedly, I cashed in on the pervasive ignorance of the Americans. I apologize for the criticisms you have received, but as my mom used to say, consider the source. You are close, but still not quite there. Gangbang is not synonymous with orgy. All gangbangs are orgies, but not all orgies are gangbangs. Gangbangs are a bunch of dudes and one chick. I assume the origin of the term was for gang rapes, and then migrated into kink porn culture along with other rape play and consensual non-consensual sex. Gangbang noun orgy. Gangbanger gang member. Gangbanging hood shit gangbangers do. Gangbanged to be ducked in a gangbang. Why, you might ask? Cause the original term was a racist stereotype of usually white women would get gangbanged by a bunch of gangbangers. It is weird how porn influences language, like making the word stepbrother an innuendo because humanity is doomed. I had a 55-year tiny African American English teacher in 9th grade who used gangbanger to refer to gang members. Even in 9th grade I thought it sounded off. Otherwise she was fantastic teacher. Nobody backtalked her, not the white girls, as she was the cheerleader teacher, not the 6'5" black lineman. Everyone respected her, and everyone learned. Some people in America use bang for the word fight, like wanna bang, as a phrase is basically saying want to fight in the right place with the right context. So gangbangers are gang members who go out and fight or generally duck shit up. That being said, we also use bang as a dated sexual reference, and a gangbang is definitely still a sex act. This confused me as a kid in the 90s as well. I figured these kids were super into having sex, so much so that they were dying from ducking. Someone's cousin died gangbanging, and I was like, holy shit. He loved to duck, but did not say anything, because it was a tragic loss to their family. I thought 4 years, what an embarrassing way to die. It's pretty metal, but still, like, just how did that happen? He suffocated at the bottom of a pile of bitches. What a weird way to go. You think the family would think that is TMI to share with the world so openly. I gotta be careful if I ever get invited to these sex parties later in life. Hydrate and make sure I'm never on the bottom of a pile. Then 6 years go by, and I realize the truth. He was shot in a gang war. I felt bad about all those thoughts and still do, but I forgive myself, because I was only like 10. Well, sheer. A gangbang is exactly what you have described. I have never heard of anyone being in a gang called gangbanging, except once in GTA as a passing comment. This is my first time finding out gangbang can also mean that, too. Those people messaging you to insult you are just arrogant dickheads who think all other countries are dumb, and that there is only one meaning for every single term ever used. As an American, I have always heard it as something in between. I have always heard a gangbang referred to as an extremely rough orgy with multiple male gang members and one non-gang member woman. In porn, very rough, BDSM style orgy of the men to the women. In real life, very violent and they actually rape and abuse the woman. Maybe I have using the wrong definition this whole time as well, lol. But this is what I have always heard a gangbang to be considered. However, I have heard of gang members being called gangbangers as well. Actually, a gangbang in America is more of a group sex or group rape sort of thing. Often initiation rites into the gang for girls, or like extortion or straight up forced on girls, or even tricked into it by guys and their friends or fellow gang members. Calling kids in gangs gangbangers and anything that kids in gangs do gangbanging is just hyperbolic misuse of words. This type of confusion and confiscation is pretty common among the stupid in America. I'm an American, and when I first heard the phrase gangbang being used, it was in the context of group sex, usually meaning one girl and multiple guys. It was many years later that I began hearing the phrase gangbanger. I was confused. It seems very strange to me that these phrases mean very different things, but are extremely similar. I could totally see why it would confuse someone from another culture. I suspect it probably confuses a lot of people in the US too. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.